Hello, guys. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm back here again with more Transformers figures. Again, this is Transformers War for Cybertron Studio Series Gamer Edition Megatron. That was a mouthful. I guess this is the fourth figure in the line. I do not have all of these. I do have the Optimus Prime and the Starscream. So again, I do have the older versions of these figures. So I just want to get this one because I know I have a fondness for the older figure. So I'll show you that during the comparisons. But again, you see the figure there, no plastic protection there. You've got the, of course, Megatron here, the figure itself. You've got Studio Series 04 with a close-up of his face. I'm not too crazy about the artwork here. He looks really weird. On the back, we've got the figure, of course, this being a Studio Series or Gamer Edition, we're going to call it. They do give you a background of the game that this is based on, which is War for Cybertron. Awesome games, by the way. You've got Megatron here with his cannon. He's got a mace. And, of course, he looks really cool back here. Of course, this guy turned into a tank. So, of course, you see the tank mode there. Secure the station. Video game inspired, scaled, and detailed backdrop. Those are the taglines for this. So, Studio Series, Gamer Edition, War for Cybertron, Megatron here. You do get your instructions with this guy. I recommend you give them a look over. Transformation's not really too complicated, but, you know, doesn't hurt to take a look at this. So those are those. Accessories-wise, you do get this awesome mace, which, again, is pretty much what was in the game. All in purple. And this dark gray, almost black, I want to say. But the detail is done really well. This comes in two pieces when you get it in the box. So you're going to get it like this. I guess technically you could put it like this if you wanted to. But that's not going to fit in there. So it definitely goes in this way. And he can hold this in his hand really well. So that's really cool. I think it's a really nice accessory, and it's got a good size and heft to it. So definitely very fitting of Megatron there. Move that out of the way. The other, I guess, kind of accessory where it's more part of Megatron, right, is this fusion cannon, which is done in all like gloss black plastic, which is really nice looking. And it does have some nice detail around the barrel. You get holes for pegs on both sides, and then you got the little peg in gray here. But I think it's well done, and I think this is very accurate to what was in the game. So I think from that standpoint, gotta give them credit. But you'll see when I compare this guy to the older version, the cannon on that older version was, at least in my book, much better done than this. But hey, you do get this cannon. And then the last thing, of course, is being a Studio Series figure. Like all of them, he comes with a background here based on the game. Awesome game, by the way. So you can use this for photography. Moving that out of the way, and we can concentrate on this guy here. Gamer Edition Megatron. I'm just going to call him War for Cybertron Megatron. I do have the original, which I'll use in this video to compare him to. This figure is not bad by any means. I think if anything, getting a newer version of this guy it's pretty cool, because then they're able to take advantage of maybe newer advancements in like molding or technology or whatever it may be to give us a more accurate figure. Now I do have some gripes about this guy, which we'll go over those, but starting off here with the head, I think that's well done. And he's got little details on the forehead that kind of remind me of the Decepticon symbol there, which looks really cool. He's got some red eyes, and I've got that whole helmet look going. So I think that looks the part. The red here with the purple, definitely really well done. Love that. And then you move on down to the Decepticon insignia. So that's really cool. Over here on the left, you've got this additional detail, which kind of ties into the tank mode with this. Essentially, what this essentially becomes is the turret. But the red here is very well done. It matches really good with the chest parts here. And then you've got your gray and black plastic. And there is, again, some nice line work all over the place, which is really cool. This is essentially his left hand. You do get this additional detailing, which is pretty cool. And this flap that you can move up and down. Normally, I believe in robot mode, you're supposed to keep it like this. And again, more red, which cool thing is this all matches up pretty well, and you've got some additional detailing in red and gray and black and whatever have you. The moving on down again to the waist piece here, again, you've got this whole purple motif going there with some nice line work. And then same thing here. You're moving on down to the legs, which have this very jagged and sharp look to them, which again is very appropriate. That was pretty much how he looked in the game. And you've got your grays and your blacks, which again is very fitting of Megatron. And then you've got his little sharp feet there. And then moving on to the back, pretty good. They've done a great job of filling out any kind of gaps here with essentially the tank threads. And there really isn't much of anything that's gap. And he's got this little, section here that's part of, again, the tank mode that they've neatly been able to sort of clip that in there. So he doesn't really have much of a backpack. So definitely looks very nice and very imposing in my book. He's definitely a good size. I love that they've increased the size of these guys. As far as articulation, the head can move fully around. You just have to kind of lift it. So he can look up, and when you do that, it kind of lifts the head, and then that allows you to turn the head fully around. So if you wanted to, he can look up quite a bit actually, and then look down just about that much. The arms here, you got shoulder, you can turn these fully around on both sides. The elbow here, you've got essentially double joints, which is really cool. And you can do the same thing on this side here. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that you can take the arm off here. So it's again on a little peg hole. Mine comes off fairly easy, which is I guess one of my gripes, but so when you do go to post this guy, just be really careful. You might just pop the arm off. But this is also double jointed there. And then if you wanted to, I think, you're able to take off the arm, like I said, and, you could take the cannon here and just stick that into his arm if you wanted to. It kind of looks a little silly, I guess. It would look better if it was this way. So that's a thing you can do. I know in the game, a lot of the, robots in that game could essentially transform the limbs into guns. So I'm assuming that's what this is meant to emulate. And I haven't played this game in a while, so excuse me if I don't quite remember most things. Keep going with the articulation theme here. He can extend his arms, and you can then rotate his upper section all the way around. The hands here, unfortunately, are fixed in place, so they can move slightly in and out, and that's because of the transformation step, but you can't really turn them. The fingers are not articulated. Moving on down to the legs, full split on this guy, so that's really cool. Can kick pretty high, can kick back pretty far back as well. And then here comes my good gripe for me on my end, that once you get to the knees, you can turn them, which is really cool, right? You can turn them fully around, so that helps with articulation. But part of the problem that I have is that you can only bend the knee about that much, way less than the 90 that we are accustomed to, and that is because there is a piece of plastic here that kind of impedes you from moving this farther. If you do, you're probably going to end up breaking something. So that is very limiting. What you can do is, if you want, you can pull this out, and then that will allow you to move the knee as much as you can, but then you have this whole section just hanging out back. So that is rather unfortunate in my book. I wish they would have done a better way to fix these knee joints. And then moving on down here, you do get some ankle articulation here. It's like on a pivot, and you can move his toes in and out. That's part of the transformation as well. So overall, again, I would say the articulation is there except for the knees, which is, again, unfortunate. He's overall a very cool looking robot, but that knee part kind of bums me out. Now, I guess we can do next is the transformation, but I also did want to point out something really cool that I wish Hasbro and Takara would do on all the transformers. So, and you'll see it as we go through the transformation. So to get to the tank mode here, we can take this cannon off, and he's left like that. And the cool thing, as I noted, is like you actually see it here, is part of the transformation involves you folding these hands in, and they give you these nice little doors. I'm going to call them doors, swinging doors, to then be able to hide the fist in there and then neatly close it. And then what that does is kind of, you don't have a gap, right? Because a lot of times when we get transformations with fists, you're kind of just left with something like that. In this case, I appreciate that they went through the extra trouble of giving us this little extra door to cover up any gaps. So that is automatically really cool in my book for this guy. So that's how you start off. You take these, you open the flap for the forearm, hide the fist in, and then you just close that. Next thing to do here would be to open this up, and you have to swing it all the way down, but you can just leave it there for now. Take this back part here and then swing it all the way around, and then this top section here you will turn fully around like so, so it'll look something like this. Now next thing to do is to mess with these the feet here, so you can move all this out of the way. Take these, point them, you start pointing them forward for now, and then take these back sections, essentially the shins, behind the shins, and you just untap them. And then while you're doing that, you're going to take the feet here, and you're just going to fold these and get them out of the way. You're going to swing them slightly into the leg there. And then as you do that, you can fold this all the way in. There's a panel here, they kind of meet in place. And then you're going to take these and you can undo these as well, and then you're left with something that looks like this. So same thing here. For ease of use, you could take that panel, and these are the tank threads, pull this out, and then, as I said, fold this in, and then just fold the feet in place. And then just gonna take that, it's gonna sit like so. So at that point, you're left with something that looks like this. You can then take this whole bottom, this section that we left hanging, and just swing it all the way down for now. You can leave it like that. Next thing to do here, let's do here this front arm here. So this is where we utilize this joint here. So you're gonna take this, put it like that. You're gonna take this little flap here, you're gonna fold it up, and then there's two places where this is gonna tab in. You're gonna see a little tab here where my finger's pointing at a section, and then another section here. They're gonna go tabbed into the chest here. So you're gonna swing this whole arm, essentially tab in. I usually tab in this first section first, and then I tab in the second section here. Make sure that the elbow joint kind of looks like that, and then you could tab this in, and then you're good there. You're left with something that looks like that, all nice and tabbed in. Next thing to do is start moving these legs out of the way like so. And next thing is now we're going to swing this whole arm, the right arm, sorry, and swing it all the way towards the back. There's a couple of things in here to keep in mind as you're swinging this whole arm here, is this little section here is going to go tabbed into here in the back, and you have other parts here that are going to tab in place. So first thing is, you'll see here as I swing this, it's going to sit in place like so, and then there's a tab here that's going to tab into that section right there, and these two little lines here that I'm pointing at will tab into the lower part of the torso here, of the waist. So you're going to take that and make sure it tabs in, and everything should sit in place like so. So at this point you're left with something like this. Next thing to do is these legs that were just hanging out like so, you're going to fold them in at the knee. And a couple of things here to keep in mind while you're doing this is there is a tab that's going to go here. So I don't know if you could see it. This gray tab is going to go tabbed in here, and then there's these little panels here. I don't where I'm pointing at. They're going to get here. So these two panels here, where what I'm pointing at, are going to go into this section here. That'll help with, you know, bringing everything together. So usually I always try to put this in first and then get everything else in place. And then also as you're folding this, you'll notice you'll have to bend the leg in. There's also tabs here on this gray part that are going to go in here. So there's a couple of tabs you gotta sort of keep track of as you're doing this. As I said, I usually like doing this one first, here a tab, and then I can mess around with the rest of it and it looks something like so. So same thing here. Let's make sure these legs are straight like they should be. You're going to fold this in and fold the leg in, and again I usually make sure that these sections go in first to get that click in there, and then everything should fit right in without issue. And at that point you're just about done. The last thing to do is take the cannon here, and then essentially you're gonna tab this in to this section here. Now you can tab this any which way. I think theoretically it's supposed to go like this. This is the best way it looks. You can also do it this way. I mean, it's your figure. Do as you please. But I think the official way is this way. And then at that point you're done with Tank Megatron here. Let's put this down slightly. No, I mean, he has threads technically, but they're not movable or anything. They kind of just sit in place, so that's a bit of a disappointment. But again, I'm assuming for this price point we couldn't get actual threads. The tank mode itself, from this top part, kind of looks okay. It doesn't look too bad. Again, very much like what was in the game, I would say. So really, it's kind of just there. I'm not too crazy about it. I know Megatron nowadays will always be a tank, and this is not terrible by any means. It looks just fine. It just doesn't blow my socks off. Again, I love the fact that they've managed to now have the whole R&B part of the turret here. As far as any kind of articulation in this mode, you kind of don't really have any. I mean, you can rotate the cannon here in place. If you wanted to move the cannon here, you would really have to undo part of the transformation. So you would have to unlift this, and that'll give you, I guess, a bit of a rotation on the turret. But as is, this turret can't rotate. It's kind of stuck in place. But you guys could see there. And then I really do not like this whole hollowness thing here. It's just like a hole. Then moving on to the bottom section here, everything tucks in place, and it's not loose or anything, which is a plus for this, but it's kind of, again, just scrunched in place there, right? Like you see his head kind of just hanging out. I mean, you could turn it around if you wanted to, but yeah, I'm not too crazy about this whole bottom section. And to be fair, you're not going to be displaying your toy like this in this mode, right? Most of the votes in the tank mode are going to be like this. So I would say it's serviceable, but I think, in my opinion, could have been done better. You can also take his axe here, and if you wanted to, you can, I don't know, you could put it in a tank mode any which way you want, if that's something you would like to do. I don't know. You can also, if you wanted to, do something like that. I think that actually looks a little better, in my opinion. But again, it's your figure. Do with it as you please. But that's a tank mode, and then we'll just come back to robot mode to close out the video and do some comparisons. For me, this guy is just okay. I would say the minuses are the limited articulation with the knees. the so-so tank mode that I'm not too crazy about, and this cannon, again, accurate to the game, but I really wish they could have done something more substantial. The good things is he's much bigger than the older versions. If you have that one, this one is a tad taller and a bit more substantial, I would say. The colors are a bit more representative of what was in the game. The older one's a little brighter. And, you know, the articulation is not too bad. And I think the huge plus in my book is the fact that we don't have any gaps in the forearms. That's a huge plus for me. So I think overall is a okay figure. I don't know if it's a must-have, but again, me specifically, I just want to expand my different versions of Megatron here. So the first figure comparison I would do is, why not? Let's do it to the OG, which I still love. And in all honesty, I would have been perfectly fine if they took this and just upscaled it to be the same size as this one. Now, I know this one's not necessarily accurate to what was in the game. This is the original War for Cybertron figure that came out way back when the game came out, but I just prefer the overall look of this guy. The shape, I don't know, just looks a bit much better. Like the proportions on this guy here, he looks a bit more lanky, at least to my eyes. And the only thing that this one could have used is just the color of the newer version, right? I do prefer the darker gray to the lighter gray that's being used here. But other than that, I mean, to me, this figure looks awesome. This doesn't look bad. And again, this is more accurate to what was in the game, but I definitely do prefer the older version here. The other thing too is, and this is my gripe with this figure, is you can probably see it here, is look at this massive cannon. And again, as I keep saying, this is more accurate to the game, I believe, but look at this thing. It's like it's got all the actually, you know, like dark gray, metallic gray with the red detailing. You know, it's huge, you know, and I think it definitely looks the part for somebody like Megatron to be walking around with this humongous weapon in his arm. And then you look at something like the newer version and he's got what essentially looks like a little PVC pipe. Again, it doesn't look terrible, but I think this kind of blows it out of the water for me. So again, just want to show them both together here at the same time. Again, I'm not putting this one down. I'm definitely keeping this one, adding it to the collection, but I think this is one of those cases where I do prefer the older version now. So one of the things that I think they've done better here on the newer version is the colors. He's taller, and they've done a better job with covering some of the hollowness here, right? The older version here has hollow plastic back there, but I do think other than that, I prefer the look and the proportions, and definitely that cannon is very fitting of Megatron in comparison to this thing here. So just want to show them there so you guys could see together. So we'll move this guy out of the way, and we'll do more War for Cybertron. This is older, so this is the sound wave from that original figure run, and I think this could still work. I don't recall if they've released a Soundwave, a newer version of in the Gamer Edition series. Maybe they will. I'm a bit out of the loop when it comes to Gamer Edition, but this is the older version, which I still love, and I think size-wise, I think this could still work in my book. So again, this is an older figure from War for Cybertron. So we'll move Soundwave here out of the way, and sticking with the older versions of War for Cybertron, here's Ultra Magnus. And I think Ultra Magnus here is a little small. This is the Fall of Cybertron line that came out after War for Cybertron. This is an older figure again. My assumption is they're probably going to reissue or remake these older figures. But again, I think in this case, Megatron blows Ultra Magnus out of the water size-wise. He is definitely much bigger, but again, just want to show you guys so you guys can see the differences and similarities of those two. Let's stick with a prime here. And here he is next to, this is the Earthrise Optimus Prime. He is much taller than Megatron here, which is interesting. So Megatron definitely looks very small in comparison to Earthrise Optimus Prime. Next in line, we have the newer version of Optimus Prime here. Big chunky boy. Optimus is probably about the same size as Megatron there. But again, I think these look really cool. Optimus, I think, is an awesome looking robot. So there you go. That is the Gamer Edition War for Cybertron Optimus. Next, we have the older version of Optimus from War for Cybertron. And here you could see, obviously, Optimus is mismatched. Megatron is much, much taller and bigger. So there you go. And then we'll move them out of the way. And I think that's it for War for Cybertron. Oh, actually, there's one more. I lied. How could I forget Mr. Starscream himself? This is a newer version of Starscream. And I think these two do look really cool together. So there you go. This is a newer version of War for Cybertron. We'll move him out of the way. And then as we close, you know what, I have these other versions of Megatron because I've been slowly building up my Megatron collection, or different versions of Megatron. So here's the Armada Megatron next to the Gamer Edition. This guy blows this one out of the water. I love this thing. So you guys can see he is much bigger, more substantial looking awesome. So we'll move him out of the way. And then here's the Bumblebee movie concept art Megatron. Another awesome Megatron figure, way more imposing looking than the Gamer Edition here. But again, just want to show you those two together. And then lastly will be, why not? Here's some G1 goodness. Granted, this is the Siege version, the Siege mold of a Megatron here with the, I think this was 35th anniversary, so he's got some of animation deco there. But this one is much bigger and more substantial looking. So yeah, but that's it, guys. I think that's the extent. If I missed anything, let me know. If you have any questions, anything I can help with, certainly more than glad to help. Overall, I do like this Megatron. You know, I think it's just okay. I don't know if it's a must buy, you know. Here's his mace. But yeah, you know, so that's it for Megatron here. If you, again, have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, if you made it to the end of the video, again, thank you so much for your very valuable time. And I will catch you in the next video. Take care.